Okay, everybody, welcome back to my face and some more answers to your questions. Today we have one from Tim who says, "My jerk is terrible." I feel you, Tim. I know there are two types of dip, one quick whip style and one more slow and strength oriented, but how do I decide which to focus on to make my jerk stronger? I tend to have a really hard time getting a good lockout and pressing myself down far enough. I tend to end up with a press out. One could argue these are two separate things, but they could also be related. So first of all, just real quick, I talk about the jerk dip and drive style as kind of existing on a spectrum. And on one end, you have what I call an elastic jerk, and the other end was I call a strength jerk. With the elastic jerk, that's going to be a relatively shallow, very quick dip, quick turnaround at the bottom, and a quick drive. That more strength-oriented jerk is going to be a slower, considerably deeper dip position, a slower transition at the bottom, and a longer drive. So of course the question is, how do you know which one you are? First of all, remember, it's a spectrum. It's not one or the other. You may be at one far end of either end of the spectrum, but more likely you're going to be somewhere kind of in between those two extremes. So you're going to have, kind of qualities of both. And the issue is trying to balance and create the one that, again, like Tim says, makes your jerk the best. So first of all, it should be fairly apparent if you are really on one extreme or the other, right? Are you a slow person or are you a very quick, explosive person? That's usually not a hard question to answer. If you can't answer it, you might be one of those people who's just kind of regular, right? You're not really one or the other to either extreme. Another way to look at it is to do, say, do a vertical jump, right? So your typical vertical jump is going to be a counter movement, right? You're going to move down and then change directions and jump up as high as you can. So do a few of those, right? You don't have to reach for anything because we're not going to worry about the height. Do a few standard old counter movement jumps. Then do a few jumps from the bottom of a squat position, right? So no counter movement, sit in the squat, hold that for a couple of seconds, then directly from the bottom of the squat, jump as high as you can. And again, I'm not worried about how high you actually jump in either one. I'm worried about how each feels to you, right? Which one feels more powerful, which one feels more comfortable, which one feels more natural. None of these things are 100% perfect on helping you determine which is which, but it's, again, usually really apparent. If you preferred to jump out of the bottom of a squat from a stop, you're not an elastic jerker, right? If that, quick, shallow counter movement jump feels really good to you, you're probably more of an elastic jerker. Another thing to consider is, when you do have days where your jerks actually feel good, or, look at the last time you made a legitimate PR, as in you didn't press it out, Tim. If you ideally have a video of it, would be nice, is look at it, right? How did you move on that day? How are you moving on the days when you feel best in your jerk? Is it shallower and quicker, or is it deeper and slower? And then kind of related to that is, how do you naturally perform a push press? Do you have that really deep, slow dip and drive, or is it a quicker, shallower motion? And that, all those things together should give you a pretty clear picture on which you need to do. And then keep in mind too, in all cases, whether you're slow or quick, elastic or more strength oriented, we still need you to break as abruptly as possible in the bottom of the dip and dip to the a proper depth, right? So even if you are more of a strength-oriented jerker, you still shouldn't be doing a parallel squat in the dip of your jerk, right? Some people just get really carried away. You still have to stop at a depth that allows you to maintain good balance, a strong position, which means that you are not getting to the bottom of that dip and easily shifting forward in particular, but backward either, right? There's a point at which you cannot maintain that nice upright posture. Your knees go forward, your hips go backward, whatever it is, you can't maintain balance. You've got to stop safely above that point, regardless of how you jerk. So do some experimentation, play around with it. I promise that you will figure it out over time. And if you really are just totally unaware of what's happening, you're going to have to commit to one for a while and then switch to the other for a while and see what works better. Good luck, Tim. Greg Everett with Catalyst Athletics here. Please subscribe, like, and share this video. If you have questions, post them in the comments. I answer all of them. Also check out catalystathletics.com for the biggest Olympic weightlifting exercise library out there, along with hundreds of free articles and videos and other resources for both athletes and coaches.